Omar Khayyam, the Muslim mathematician who changed everything. You've probably heard his name whispered through the pages of poetry, but few know that behind the verses lies a mathematical genius who cracked codes, solved equations, and reshaped our understanding of algebra and time itself. This video took countless hours of research, poring through ancient Persian texts, studying historical translations, and unraveling the mathematical legacy left behind. But I did it, because this story matters. Not just for math lovers, not just for historians, but for anyone who has ever looked at the stars and asked, how do we measure the universe? Stay with me, because once you understand what Khayyam really did, you'll never look at time, geometry, or even poetry the same way again. Born in 1048 in the city of Nishapur, in present-day Iran, Omar Khayyam lived during the height of the Islamic Golden Age, a time when the Muslim world became a sanctuary for science, mathematics, and philosophy. While the West struggled through the early Middle Ages, cities like Baghdad, Nishapur, and Samarkand became intellectual hubs, buzzing with scholars translating, debating, and innovating. By the age of 25, Khayyam had already earned a reputation as a master of astronomy and mathematics. He wasn't just another scholar, he was a visionary, a man who would soon rewrite the rules of algebra and challenge ideas that had stood for centuries. At the heart of Omar Khayyam's mathematical revolution was a deceptively simple question. How do you solve cubic equations? For centuries, cubic equations were a dead end, a wall no mathematician could scale. Even the great Greeks who gave us Euclidean geometry and the foundations of logic had no general solution. Around 1070, Khayyam penned one of his most important works, Treatise on Demonstration of Problems of Algebra. In it, he tackled cubic equations head-on, not with numbers but with geometry. That's right. Khayyam used geometric constructions, intersections of conic sections, to solve what algebra could not. It was radical. Where earlier mathematicians feared complexity, Khayyam embraced it, blending the visual with the abstract, the known with the unknown. To Khayyam, numbers weren't just symbols. They were shapes, curves, and dimensions, and through them he carved a path into a higher dimension of mathematics. Omar Khayyam's methods were ahead of their time, so much so that it took the Western world nearly 500 years to catch up. It wasn't until the 16th century, when mathematicians like Girolamo Cardano began publishing solutions to cubic equations, that the world started to grasp what Khayyam had hinted at centuries earlier. Even Cardano admitted that Khayyam's geometric insights were profound. While others played with numbers, Khayyam built visual proofs using conic sections, parabolas, hyperbolas, and circles. His diagrams were more than beautiful. They were precise instruments of logic, slicing through centuries of ignorance. Why does this matter? Because Khayyam didn't just solve equations. He showed that visual thinking was as powerful as numerical calculation. He blurred the line between math and art. And in doing so, he opened a door that modern algebra, calculus, and physics would later walk through. But Khayyam's brilliance didn't stop with algebra. In 1074, Sultan Malik Shah summoned him to a new task, reforming the calendar. At the time, the Islamic lunar calendar was used for religious purposes, but the solar calendar, the one that tracks the Earth's orbit around the sun, had drifted. The seasons no longer aligned with the months. Khayyam assembled a team of the era's best astronomers. For 18 months, they observed the heavens, recording the movement of stars with instruments built under Khayyam's design. Their result, the Jalali calendar. A masterpiece of astronomical precision, the Jalali calendar was more accurate than the Julian calendar used in Europe, and even more precise than the Gregorian calendar introduced centuries later in 1582. In fact, the Jalali calendar's error is only one day in every 5,000 years. That's better than what most people use today. Let that sink in. Without telescopes, without modern computers, Omar Khayyam's mind calculated time itself and corrected it. But here's where the story gets strange, because Khayyam wasn't just a mathematician, he was also a poet and a mystic. His most famous work, the Rubaiyat, is a collection of quatrains that celebrate love, wine, fate, and the fleeting nature of life. They read like the musings of a carefree hedonist. A jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou beside me in the wilderness. It's seductive, it's beautiful, but it's also misleading. Many modern scholars believe the poetry was deeply symbolic, not literal drinking but metaphorical intoxication. The wine was divine truth. The wilderness was the void between certainty and mystery. The bread was knowledge. You see, Khayyam wasn't mocking religion. He was wrestling with the paradoxes of existence, the same paradoxes that haunted his mathematical work. To him, the universe was both knowable and unknowable, and the same mind that charted the stars also wrote about how small we truly are beneath them. In the 19th century, the English poet Edward Fitzgerald translated Khayyam's Rubaiyat, but he also reshaped Khayyam's image. Fitzgerald's version emphasized the wine, the skepticism, and the romantic fatalism, turning Khayyam into a Victorian icon of worldly pleasure and doubt. But in doing so, he stripped away the mathematician, the astronomer, the philosopher. To the Western world, Khayyam became a poet, not a scientist. It's a tragic irony, because while his poetry speaks to the soul, his mathematics speaks to the mind, and together they show us a rare kind of genius. A genius who could measure time and question its meaning. Omar Khayyam died in 1131, but his ideas live on. In algebra, he laid the groundwork for understanding higher-order equations, a journey that led to modern-day calculus and complex numbers. In astronomy, his calendar reform is still revered as one of the most accurate ever created. In philosophy and poetry, he captured the mystery of existence, reminding us that knowledge is both a gift and a burden. And in every equation that seeks the infinite, in every clock that marks time, Omar Khayyam's legacy ticks on. We began this story with a question. How did a man born nearly 1,000 years ago change everything? Now we see the answer. Omar Khayyam. If you learned something new today, share this video, because more people need to know that the Muslim world was once home to thinkers who shaped science, math, and philosophy. Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you want more untold stories like this one, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We have more videos on Islamic Golden Age scientists who changed the world. Click the playlist on the screen for more content. May God bless you.